The Transformers movies, live action Transformers movies anyway, well, they're Transformers movies, and there is a contrast there. But now, the Maximals have entered the fight. In the words of the great Count Dooku, I've been looking forward to this. So Transformers Rise of the Beast is directed by Stephen Caple Jr. That's right, no longer directed by Michael Bay. Well, Bumblebee wasn't either, but the point is, new directors, fresh new ideas. It's not Optimus Prime and the Autobots, Optimus Primal and the Maximals. They gotta team up, try to stop bad things from happening. Basically trying to get the thing before the big bads get the thing, and trying to keep it vague because Big Bad was alluded to in the trailer, but not really said. It's not like they're like, hey,
Unicron is coming.
Oh, I guess they did say it in the trailer. Okie doke. Well, Transformers The Last Night's been retconned, and now you know that. A moment of silence for lost garbage. And this movie starts out pretty great. Awesome setup with Optimus Primal. I was ready, I was in, and then human characters. Still not directed by Michael Bay. We'll see where it goes. But this movie does have the human element, concentrating on human beings so the audience can have that human element to latch onto, which we never really needed in the animations, both Transformers and Beast Wars alike. Granted, the original Transformers series as well as the animated movie, they had humans in it, but it never revolved around them in the way that the Transformers live action movies have. But I will say Rise of the Beast as well as Bumblebee have done that human element a lot better than the Transformers movies that came before it. Live action, that is. I keep saying that because the animated movie is absolutely amazing. Any movie that has an action sequence to Weird Al's Dare to Be Stupid, it's amazing in my book. But it's Noah Diaz and Dominique Fishback this time around. Mainly concentrates around Noah Diaz. I thought he did a great job. He was a relatable dude who's just thrown into the mix of this situation. He actually has solid comedic timing bouncing off of Pete Davidson, who plays Mirage. He plays the voice of Mirage in here. However, I will say, either the script is self-aware or it's Pete Davidson ad-libbing when the script gets a little too cheesy. There's one line in particular where he just kind of makes a joke about it sounding cheesy when it left his mouth. That's either in the script or Pete Davidson was like, I'm making a joke about this because it's the only way it works. Speaking of great energy, that's also the soundtrack. This movie takes place canonically a few years after the Bumblebee movie, so now we're in the early 90s. And the soundtrack they have, there's something about a soundtrack. It's how you know where you are in history. The entire movie of Forrest Gump, you knew which decade we were in because of the music that played, right? So you have yourself some nice early 90s soundtrack going on in here. I thought it was great. Not a playlist, no, a mixtape. Called that a mixtape. The robot fights I thought were fun. You know, the robot versus robot fights, they should be entertaining. They should be spectacle. I felt they did a good job with that. However, I felt they did a good job with that when they were fighting near a museum or recognizable terrain. Because the last act of this movie, when you had all the robots fighting, this was some plain, gray, molten bullshit. Like a less interesting version of Mordor, complete with a whole tower that looks like Barad-dûr. It's weird. And now that we're talking about the last act, I gotta say, there were so many conveniences and MacGuffins in this script. For the last act, it was just ridiculous. I mean, granted, the whole movie revolves around everyone looking for a thing. There's always a thing. Transformers movies have just gotta have a thing. At that point, it's the amazing race to find the thing first. Right, absolutely. But in the last act, when it was like, oh, this is a problem, okay, well, we'll do this, this, and this, and then you can get into the thing and do this thing that requires, it's a very conveniently human-sized problem so we can have the humans do something while we're all fighting so they don't feel useless, you know, for the sake of the movie. The audience was laughing. Granted, there were jokes in the movie in which the audience was laughing with the movie, but in the last act when they were spelling out all of these conveniences, I felt like the audience was turning on the movie and they were laughing at the movie. It felt like someone wrote the script and fell asleep on the keyboard and someone's kid just came in and was like, hey, I want to put these in here. I think that really polishes it up well. Okay, I'm late for kindergarten. Hope it works out. Then that script was just turned in without any proofreading. And no one questioned it at all. Luckily for this movie, it's like it was recognized. Where it was like, okay, among all these conveniences and this boring landscape we're having this last final throwdown happen at, we need a couple of badass moments to really stick the landing here. And if the audience is going nuts, none of the rest of it matters. Not in the moment, anyway. Undeniably, there were a couple of badass moments you couldn't help but smile. The biggest disappointment is with the Maximals entirely. It's called Rise of the Beasts. Not really. It's not really them rising at all. You get the biggest arc with Optimus Primal. I was glad to see that. But really, generally, the rest of his troops, You don't really know much about them. Michelle Yeoh as Air Razor has the most dialogue, but Cheetor has less. Rhinox, does he even talk? I felt like he was there to be a big brute that smashed baddies for the final acts. They didn't really feel like characters at all. Granted, it's a very packed film. You have the baddies causing problems. You have the humans the movie revolves around. Then you have the Autobots, the Maximals. Right, so there's gonna be some folks are gonna get left on the sidelines. I thought concentrating on Optimus Primal for the Maximals, that was a smart move, but as a Beast Wars fan, I wanted to see more. Hell, I want to see just a Beast Wars standalone film. I feel like that could still happen. One of the more interesting arcs in the movie is Optimus Prime's arc, because Optimus Prime's, I've always seen him as, you know, he's robot Jesus, right? He's that good, and he's always been that good, and freedom is the right of all sentient beings. We know what the phrase is. It's like Gandalf the White cosplayed as a robot, and he's Optimus Prime. So I like to see Optimus Prime be this wise old sage of a battle-hardened space deity. In this movie, he's like,
You brought a human here?
who brought the trash? He's kind of a dick to human beings at first. He doesn't like them, but there is that arc of growth with him. Showing, yes, you can have the Autobots be characters in and of themselves, and you don't need the movie to revolve around human beings in order to make it work. But in the end, I enjoyed Transformers Rise of the Beast. For Transformers movies, well, the live-action Transformers movies anyway, a franchise that has a contrast that ranges between, yeah, I enjoyed that, but it has problems, to how the fuck did that movie get made? This was one of the enjoyable ones. That does have problems. But it is one of the better live-action Transformers movies, and it does leave you off with that feeling of, I'm interested and I want to see where they go with this. I'll say I had me a fun time. No alcohol required. All right, so Transformers Rise of the Beast. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Want to rank the Transformers movies? It's a tall order. Or you can be like ranking them aside. I like these ones. I don't like these ones. Leave it at that. Whatever you think, comment below. Let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.